Hi, this is Sami Gardner, and welcome to the Career Kickstart Show. I am super excited today because we have Shelly Agam, who is the owner of Agam DNA, which is an online business that is striving to inspire. Now, the thing that I find most curious about Shelly is that she's a digital nomad architect, which I have never heard of such a thing. So I had to invite her on the show. Now, Shelly, I kind of gave a very small introduction for you. How about you tell the listeners exactly what you do? Like, what's your elevator pitch? Tell us about Shelly.
Well, hi. So like you said, my business is Agam DNA. DNA stands for Digital Nomad Architect. And I do three separate things. So the first is architecture and design services. I am trained as an architect, and I opened my own firm back home in Israel. And I still give these services online and in the places I travel to. But normally the clients would like the architect to be present on site. So I did lose a big portion of my job doing traveling, actually. And so I developed my second branch of business, which is Revit training. Revit is a 3D modeling program for architects. And I do tutoring, I sell online products, and I do have video courses that I sell as well. And the third branch is me being a digital nomad, which means blogging about it and sharing my experiences. I give lectures whenever I visit back home in Israel. And that's about it.
So, Shelly, you've been doing this for about 2 years. Now, let me give the listeners some context. I'm in Bansko, Bulgaria, and I met Shelly and her partner, Oren, at a co-working party. And we all hit it off because they're delightful and everything. And not only have they been able to do this nomad adventure for 2 years, they're doing this with an adorable little dog. So Shelly, you've been doing this for 2 years. Why did you decide to become a digital nomad? Like, did you run screaming off a work site one day, deciding I can't look at a blueprint anymore? What was the deal?
Well, I did have a really hard time working in architecture firms. That was the first catalyst to go out on my own. But I didn't start off leaving the firm for traveling. So I did open my own firm and started working. But while I was working on my own business, I did have the time and mental space to really ask myself what it is that I want in life, not only in my career, but in my day-to-day, and what it is that I would like and dream to do if there were no limitations. And the answer was very clear for me. I had always loved traveling. I really love nature. I want to see the world as much as possible. I don't want to wait until I'm retired to be able to travel the world. And so when I was researching how is it possible to actually travel while working, I came across this title of digital nomad and realized that's what I want to do. And then I just had to figure out how to do that as an architect. Like you said in the beginning, it's not very common.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard of a lot of different types of jobs, but it seems primarily you just meet people who are secretive about their Amazon shop, or you meet a web developer, or sometimes you meet like a wandering life coach. So it's really interesting how you were able to take architecture and, showcase all these different skill sets, including doing online courses. Now, why did you decide, I know that you needed to find another way to keep on moving, but why did you decide on an online course in Revit specifically, just for folks who are wondering if they have any skills that they could turn into an online course? So why Revit?
Well, actually, I did learn this program while I was working in a firm, and I really loved it. It's pretty new to the market in Israel and in Europe. In the States, I would say that more than 50% of the offices already work with Revit. But it is something new and more advanced than the normal drafting programs that are in the market. And I just fell in love with it. I really like playing around with a computer. I really like teaching. So it was natural for me. But I don't think that an online course is the first go-to thing for people who want to start traveling and working online. But just to sit down and make a list of all the stuff that you know how to do and the stuff that you're good at and the stuff that you like to do, and try and find connections between different fields that might make a new career. For me, it was architecture and design that I know and love, and also working with computers. So that combination made my business Revit Pros.
Okay, like that totally makes sense, especially for folks who have a very like concrete skill set that is not the most portable. Like unless you're designing RVs, it's really hard to take a building around places. That's a way for them to think about, okay, I have this specialty skill. How do I kind of make it so that it can travel with me? So it's a cool path that you've taken, but it's been 2 years. You're traveling with a dog. Are you guys able to like travel? Like, how do you guys travel with the dog? Like, does it limit you? Like, how many places have you been? I'm just curious because I only have to keep myself alive as I travel and deal with my own paperwork, and that's enough. So I'm just curious how you do that with a little dog.
I've actually just posted a blog post about traveling with a dog logistics-wise, all the paperworks and traveling between different countries and continents. It's on my blog on Agam DNA. So the logistics aside, asking if it has changed the way we travel, I'm sure it has, because basically, first of all, we need to find airlines that will take pets. Mm-hmm. Not every airline does that. But choosing countries, we've never had a limitation because of the dog. I mean, once you have all the paperwork, a lot of the stuff you do once and have forever, and then you can just take her with you. And especially since she's such a little dog, we actually normally take her on cabin. So it's just really fun to travel with her. It's not a big deal, and it's not really hard for her since she's with us all the time.
Oh, and you can just like put her in a little bag. Like I love it when I'm on an airplane and I look over and there's like a little dog. I'm like, yay, this plane ride just got better.
Yeah, and we always get a lot of attention in the airport and on the plane from the cabin crew and from the passengers.
That makes it easy to just meet people. Now, one thing that I find very interesting, because we were talking before the interview, is that you're very good at not just like doing the architecture, doing the Revit training, but you're also really good at finding these like places where people aren't finding. Like, you were able, okay, so Shelly was able to find like a 2-bedroom apartment with a full kitchen on the ground floor for the same amount that some people are paying for just a single room in a guest house. How do you do this stuff? Tell people who are wondering about the logistics of this Nomad thing.
Yes, I was telling you before, and this is true not for only for apartment, but for anything you want to accomplish in life, is to keep talking about what it is that you're doing, what are you missing, what would you need, what kind of help people can offer you. And we just normally, when we get to new places, we talk to local people as much as possible in restaurants, in the market, salespeople everywhere, and we find that the local people always know someone, their friend, their family that has a room or has a bike or has something that we need, and they make these connections for
us. Okay, so what I like about this advice is that I feel like it applies not just to being a nomad, but also to just having a career in general. Have you found that you've been using that sort of tactic in building your career from architect to digital nomad course creator?
Yes, definitely. I always say whatever it is that you want, just constantly talk about it with everyone who are willing to listen, and people normally really want to help and really want to make connections. And I do the same for people who talk to me.
So what would be your suggestion beyond just letting people know that what you want? What would be your suggestion for someone who is an architect or an interior designer or a drafter in that sort of field? What would be your advice for those folks who do want to travel, who want to give the Nomad thing a try? Is it to create a course, or are there other ways that they can kind of use their skills while still getting on the road?
Well, teaching is always a good way to earn money while traveling, and I've met people who teach so many different variety of subjects. So that is an option. But if it's really important to a person to keep designing and keep working in that specific field, I would recommend to just kind of market a business around the fact that you are traveling and you are on site, but in different locations. And I do also get some opportunities to do design as in like a second opinion design, which is great for online because people can just send me their stuff and then I give them my second opinion about the design. But I feel like if you are creative and you just kind of think outside the box and get rid of all those preconceptions about what architecture work looks like, I'm sure you can find a new way of doing it that will allow you to travel.
Okay, no, that's some great advice, especially, letting people know that there are some different options. Because I think when we go through university, we're kind of told, like, here is the one true way to do this thing. When the more and more that I meet digital nomads, I find that your career, your working life can be super unique. Like, I mean, the other day I was in the kitchen and I met a web developer who's also like a yoga teacher and stuff like that. So people are doing some crazy stuff with their work. Now that we've talked a little bit, I'm really curious, out of the three things that you're doing, what is the one that you enjoy the most?
That's a hard one. Well, to be honest, I love that I don't do just one thing. So I'm sorry if that's not a proper answer.
It's fine being multi-passionate, man.
So yeah, I go to the School of Multi-Potentialite. If you've not heard about this, Google it. There's a great TED talk about it. And that kind of connects to what we were speaking about before, that when you go to university, they always tell you, or even since you're like 5 years old, what you want to be when you grow up. It doesn't have to be one thing. And that's what I love about what I do, is that I really combine a lot of different things because I get bored so fast. I have to do all these different things in order to keep myself interested. And I also have these kind of waves of periods where I feel more like investing in recording courses, which is very focused and very quiet and very, something I do on my own. And then I love giving lectures more and speaking more to at times. So I really have to have this kind of combination of different things.
No, that makes sense. I can be the same way. Sometimes I feel like one of those little monkeys in the zoo, where if I don't have a new tire swing every once in a while, I just go too wild. So I totally get that. And I feel like for folks who are listening who are architects or in the field, they'd be pretty interested in just being able to connect with you and learn a little bit more. Besides going to your website, what's another good place to just find out more about you, more about your courses? Is it just the website, or?
Well, Instagram is a great way to follow us, especially on my stories, and then just kind of seeing the day-to-day reality of what it is that I do. I try to keep it up to date. And also, if you love nature, that's a really good place to follow us, because mine and my partner, Oren, that's our favorite hobby, to take our dog and just go hiking and traveling around. That's what really brought us to Bansko as well, where we are now in the mountains of Bulgaria. The weather and the beautiful nature. So Instagram, my website has a blog, and also Facebook. You're really welcome to follow.
Okay, and just so folks know, for Shelly, it's at Shelly KU at Instagram. So Shelly Ku.
Actually, I've just recently changed that.
Ooh, okay.
Sorry,
click the link. Plot twist.
Yeah, no, but that's because it's on my website. But you reminded me to update that. It's actually at Digital Nomad Arch. So yeah, Digital Nomad Arc is my website as well. DNA.
Nice. Okay, awesome. Now, Shelly, for the folks who are architects or just wanting to learn more, let's tell everybody about your Revit school, because it's revitpros.org, and you also now have some more stuff in English because you were just in Hebrew for a while, right?
Yeah, so my first class, or my full course for learning the program when I just started out, was in Hebrew, because there was no course in Hebrew for this program. So I decided to go on that way. But if you go to revitpros.org/English, you'll see everything that I offer for English speakers. I do still teach one-on-one tutorials. I feel it really helps me to connect with my audience and see what people really need to learn. So it helps me kind of work with individuals and teach them exactly what they want to learn. You can also follow Revit Pros on YouTube and Instagram to get our tutorials and a lot of content, which give you tips and tricks on how to work with the program. On our site, you can also subscribe to get our weekly tips and tricks by email.
Awesome, Shelly. So for everybody listening, just to recap, that is agamdna.com, and then it's also revitpros.org/English, because, most of y'all are Americans when we got one language we're working in. So everybody check those out, especially if you are an aspiring digital nomad architect. You can certainly learn so much from Shelly. Now, Shelly, thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you.
And thank you all for listening. As always, I'm Sami Gardner, your career specialist. Bye. Change your career, change your life at CareerKickstartAcademy.com.